That is correct, sir. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council leaders, assumed leadership. Richard is with you once again from El Prado Lane. I last saw you 2 weeks ago, and I gave you the narrative and litany of how I complained 2 years ago about massive junkyards I observed from using Google Earth. And it was passed on to your police department, and you asked for an inquiry, Mr. Mayor, into the matter with a submission of a report written by the Chief of Police, Edmund Data Show, and his second in command, Tim Mattos. And you regrettably accepted it for face value, and they made what we should call in Tagalog, Karantala Utu out of you, okay? And you got up here and you read the report and pronounced it as the gospel truth. And in fact, none of it is true, is it? I have in my hands a picture that was taken the following day of the junkyard after they said it was cleaned up a year ago, December 2013. Remember that? And you also said that the ongoing junkyard that's recently been created next to my home is not a junkyard and it's not a code problem. And I quote here from the code: the accumulation and storage of abandoned, wrecked, dismantled, or inoperative vehicles or parts thereof on private or public property, not including the highways, is found to create a condition tending to reduce the value of private property, to promote blight and deterioration and by plundering, to create fire hazards, to constitute an attractive nuisance, creating a hazard to the health and safety of minors, to create harborage for rodents and insects, and be injurious to the health, safety, and general welfare. Therefore, the presence of abandoned, wrecked, or dismantled or inoperative vehicles or parts thereof on private or public property, excluding public property previously listed, except as expressly permitted in this chapter, is to be declared a public nuisance, which may be abated as such in accordance with the provision of this chapter. So what part of that don't we understand? We seem to be equivocating and vacillating over the exact verbiage here, like we can't see it from the road. Well, that's okay, great. Now you can see it from outer space because it's grown and grown exponentially. And now you're probably going to end up with an EPA Superfund site or something to that effect. And so this reflects upon you and your governance. What manner of governance is this, where we warn you about something, your police write a report that is factually not true, they know it's not true, you accept it as gospel truth, and you read it to us like, you're pronouncing all is well in this community, when clearly it's not. Okay? So, I'm sorry if I'm rating on your re-inauguration tonight, or is it a coronation? I don't know. But the fact is that we've not been well served by any of this, and it goes on and on. I remember I brought up the matter of different types of policing theories, okay? I told you about the broken windows theory, okay? May I expand a little bit? What it says basically is if you have one broken window in the neighborhood, pretty soon you're going to have two broken windows, and it starts bringing in all these problems, okay? So it's best to nip it in the bud. At least that's what they did in New York, which is a huge city, and it had great effects. Now they want to go back to this San Francisco alternative policing policy, which means do nothing, pass the buck, make excuses, waste the public. Yes, you're going to end up spending on this junkyard that's next to my house now. The police have come over again, and they keep saying, well, we have stipulations like we can't see it from the road, and if they don't work on it, then it's not a problem. So I'm going, what are you trying to do? Clean it up. So they said, well, they won't work on it. So guess what? It only takes 8 hours for that stipulation to be violated. They're out there working on it. I invite all of you, yes, come down to my home, let's walk outside, and we will walk up and down El Prado Lane, and I will show you. Are you cutting my mic off? Your time is up, but you have an eternity to explain your failure of governance here, Mr. Mayor. It's glaring and it's in your face, see? See? The photos don't lie, sir. That's shameful.
For those who are not familiar with what transpired 2 weeks ago, I read a report from the Chief of Police stating that the light that was complained about by Mr. Giddens has already been addressed. And of course,
it's been addressed all right.
We put in writing, thinking that it was an accurate
It is not.
I apologize for the fact that, in fact, the subsequent visit by the police chief to decide prove that Mr. Giddens was correct, it was nothing like that. But that's not the end of it, though. I'd like the police chief to at least update us on what has been done since that event.
Daylight and dollar short.
Thanks, Mr. Gibbs. I had a site visit to the location on
Pheasant Drive.
Pheasant Drive. And I wanted to take a look for myself, and I did observe some other new vehicles that have been placed on that property. Going back to the old photos and the code enforcement activity back in December, the person had cleaned up the area. He had moved all the vehicles that were on the unimproved surfaces to the improved surfaces.
That's not true either, Chief.
Mr. Gibbs, please.
Let's weasel some more, Chief.
At the time, I don't need to weasel. I'm leaving in a couple of weeks.
To report that. We would have to report that. Continue, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
This is just unbearable.
The code enforcement officer had gotten compliance from the person living at that location. However, after the compliance had been done, the person brought in more vehicles and more junk in that area. I've since had another code enforcement officer work on the situation. They've given this person a notice. Unfortunately, these notices take 15 days. They have 15 days to abate the problem.
It's 10 days,
And
Chief.
then after that, then we go in and cite them. And each citation is compiled on one another. So if they don't get it done within another 10, 15 days, then we issue them another citation. And then at the end, we have to place a lien on them and have the judge order us to abate it. So there is a process. Now, related to 1507 El Prado, when Mr. Gibbs first noticed this issue of people bringing in these junk cars, they were placed on an improved surface in the backyard of the residence to the side. The
Regulations
occupants were
there.
now working on the vehicles. The landlord was aware of the 2 vehicles being stored. And
3 vehicles.
Told us and assured us that the person is not allowed to work on those vehicles. That would be against the lease if the person worked on those vehicles. Now, since then, apparently the person has started working on the vehicles, and Mr. Gibbs brought that up to our attention. I personally went and visited that location, met with Mr. Gibbs along with Commander Matos. We were able to peek over Mr. Gibbs' backyard, and I took some photos of the people clearly had been working on one of the vehicles. In addition, they brought another vehicle that's a disabled vehicle parked outside in the front area of the house. Now that clearly is a violation of city code because it is in public view. The other 2 vehicles, or the other 3 vehicles now are not in public view, they're outside the public view.
That has nothing to do with this.
However,
Read the regulations.
we have given the residents and the landlord a notice to abate both problems.
You guys
To
can pass it
abate the
around.
issue of working on the vehicles in the backyard, and to abate the vehicle that's in the public view that's disabled. And they have, I believe, 10 or 15 days, how many days are they given?
10.
15-day notice to abate the problem. And if they don't, then citations will be issued to the resident and to the landowner. So we are working on this. Unfortunately, some people don't understand that there's a process that we have to go through. We can't just take action immediately. People have a due process. Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, your assurances assure nothing, and your guarantees guarantee nothing either. So, that's it, folks.